Is depression actually just a heightened awareness of the pointlessness of life? Something that often comes to mind. It's common for a lot of people suffering with depression to feel that life is pointless and a waste of time. When I think about it, the only logical purpose to our existence is to procreate, which arguably could be seen as pointless, as it's ultimately unfulfillable. This train of thought always leads me to the same answer, which is that my depression isn't caused by some sort of chemical imbalance or poor circumstances, but the understanding that my life is in fact pointless. Is this shared? And if so, how do you overcome or bypass these thoughts to allow a productive life? In my opinion, depression is more of an overemphasis on the pointlessness of life. Now that I'm on medication, I am able to feel some degree of motivation to move on with my day, in spite of the fact that I still believe that life is intrinsically pointless. I am also better able to enjoy things and find personal meaning in them because my brain's chemical imbalance isn't weighing me down so much. Depression would bog me down and force me to fixate on the pointless of life. Whereas with medication I am able to consider it, but then shrug and say so what? Because I now actually want to do things anyway. I am medicated and agree with this. However, the logic side of my brain doesn't allow me to not think about this theory. Medication for me only serves as a method to be less miserable, which in a way I see as pointless. I despise that medication is only a symptom patch. I used to think about medication that was, and I realized it wasn't fair to my brain. You wouldn't tell diabetics to stop taking insulin because it's just a symptom patch, or someone in an accident not to take painkillers. Your brain can't make certain chemicals itself like other brains. Medication makes up for it. It's not just a symptom, it's medicine, which everyone needs at some point in their life. Your brain is the most complex organ in your body. Can't be compared to your pancreas. The brain can be bent and ingrained pathways can be changed with much difficulty. But yes, while you need medicine, use it. But it is symptomatic treatment. The cause can sometimes be addressed. Not trying to gaslight you. I actually don't know what MDD feels like. But I still back you on your ability to address the cause of your depression free. It is complex, but at the base of it, it's still an organ. So for medical purposes it can be compared. Medication and its effect are studied in the brain same way as the heart, kidney, and everything else. Of course they all have completely different functions and ways they affect the body. That's every part. But the fact remains, when it's sick it needs to be treated in that way. They're all the same. Wow, this is hard-hitting. Makes a lot of sense though. The things that we all enjoy doing are just enough of a distraction in the moment to help us get away from the overwhelming lack of reason for us being here. Would explain a lot of why people suffering with depression aren't always down, even if that is the stereotype that is expected of it. Robert Sapolsky poetically called depression the disease where someone is unable to enjoy a sunset. He has a really good point. Ordinary everyday activities don't feel like anything. Why bother? Who cares? Because of this I think it's the other way around. Depression makes life feel pointless. Life doesn't feel very pointless when enjoying a morning tea, for instance. Very true. Even though I've been having pretty shitty month, my morning cup of tea just made things feel a little better. It's the small things really. This is extremely accurate. There have been multiple studies that show that people with higher IQ are much more prone to depression. This is because these people have a heightened awareness of the world. It is not necessarily that life is pointless. However, if you look closely, the evil of this world far outweighs the good. Once you realize this, depression can set in and you get a feeling of helplessness. The best way to combat this is to try and be the change yourself. I am one of the people that I described above. I have a well above average IQ, and also have been clinically diagnosed with depression. I still struggle with the feeling of helplessness because I have noticed one overwhelmingly accurate cycle in life: people always do what's best for themselves. For example, if you date someone and they leave you, it all boils down to one factor: they thought they were doing what's best for themselves. This mentality is not flawed, it's our basic instincts. The problem with it is that there will never be a greater purpose if people only look out for themselves. I have started trying to break this cycle myself, and it genuinely helps my depression. For example, if I see someone broken down on the side of the road, I stop and help. This isn't what's best for me. It's what's best for the stranger. It brings me joy to try and break the cycle. Not sure if this helps at all, but it's helped me over the years. While I agree that the realization of the pointlessness of life certainly helps exacerbate the feeling of depression, I don't think it's the sole cause. I don't play as much into the chemical imbalance camp, nor do I think medication is the #1 treatment for depression. Lost Connections by Johann Hari is a great book discussing some other causes and cures for depression that do not focus entirely on the chemical imbalance idea. I think we're depressed because of an overarching feeling of disconnection, lack of inherent value, meaningless relationships, bad jobs with no care, a lot of reasons. Chemical imbalance being one of the more minimal causes and likely one of the easier things to fix as well. It can be helpful to adopt postmodern theory, which agrees with your premise that life is inherently devoid of meaning, but which argues that we need to create our own meaning. From a logical standpoint, it makes sense to do this if you have decided that you want to live, which it sounds like you have. This sort of thing is central to an existential approach to psychotherapy. If you want guidance on how to put the theory into practice, this is what has helped me. Life literally is pointless. There's no higher purpose unless you find or make it. Each of us gets to decide how and what that looks like. It's easy to look at things logically, but when you look around, how many illogical things do you see? The computer phone tablet has never been needed for us as a species to survive. Modern medicine, techniques and tools aren't needed for our species either. We do illogical things to get enjoyment. Extended life. Try to get what we can from it. Ultimately, life itself is what you make of it, and no science books, speaker, teacher, politician can tell you what your life is. Only you can decide that. Only you can decide what is pointless or not. I think everything is almost absolutely pointless. My depression helped me focus and learn more about this. Then one day I dropped and went to the hospital. I almost died of an aneurysm stroke at 32. Flash forward and I've nearly forgotten my entire life. At the time it was fortunate for me because I forgot all my bullshit. I actually was happy for a time. Then I started to recall all this crap and how much I actually knew. I was incredibly smart, and now I am more so hollowed out and dumber. Yay, but I lived. No. I don't really care, I lived. In fact, I'm absolutely livid with the fact they saved my life. No one had a say except my surgeons. They elected to save me. Now deep in bills. I forgot how to do my job. I pay for pills for life. And I can't walk correctly. Yay, but they saved me. I hate it. Truly, I would be fine with death because life is pointless. How do I find meaning to go on? I don't fear death in any way. I go on for others. I find purpose in people I love. I live with my GF and I love her. I believe that I came back to this shitty world just for her. We aren't married due to my ability to accumulate massive debts due to my depression and handling of money. Personally, I would never like to see anyone I love dead. But would it be painful to hear they died? No, I'd be sad for weeks, but I wouldn't be gone. Life is death to me. I believe when we die we go on. Not like religiously, but just we go on. So it's not an end but just a new beginning, and so I find comfort knowing that they just forget me and go on to something new. Possibly also a pointless existence. You must find meaning in going on. Either through someone or yourself. So I believe I can pass my knowledge to a child and they will go on with it. I will protect the child to the extent I can. Therefore my purpose is served. I found purpose in others. I find life rather mundane. But I also find many people rather simple, and perhaps eugenics wouldn't be terrible. But I believe in choice more than that, so I'd never condone eugenics. Just a lot of folks are stupid and it doesn't help me believe life is any more worth it. Also, I have issues with religion. I've basically been dead 3 different times and know there were no angels, devils, or a god. It was strange, but never a religious strange. So a religion to me is pointless. I believe it's giving into a strength unseen because you cannot produce the strength you need to go on. But basically life is purely pointless. We find meaning in each other and we develop strength to endure it. I can pop off tomorrow, no worries. I have done any passing of knowledge, but I don't necessarily care either. I am here for the ride and my GF. I find peace through her. I think that life is pointless and I've never really been depressed. Actually pretty happy most of the time. If you enjoyed this video and want more fitness related content, click subscribe and hit the notification bell.